Hi, and welcome to Reddit Confessions. Tonight's story begins at a party, but not the way you think. She was already on her second glass of red when she stood up to give the toast. The fire pit was glowing. The backyard lights buzzed. People were mid-laughter, mid-bite, mid-life. And then she said it, casually, like announcing dessert was served. We're in an open relationship now. Just putting that out there. The sound of chewing literally stopped. A fork clinked against a plate. Someone let out a confused chuckle, thinking it was a joke. It wasn't. She looked dead serious. And worse, she looked proud. My heart didn't break. It didn't even drop. It paused, like someone hit the mute button on my insides. I felt hollow, like I was floating above the scene, watching this weird, alternate version of my life unfold in slow motion. I hadn't agreed to this. We hadn't talked about it. And yet, here she was, publicly rewriting our marriage contract in front of 20 semi-drunk guests who suddenly couldn't look me in the eye. That's when I did something I didn't plan. I didn't think it through. I didn't even mean it. I turned to her best friend, sitting 2 chairs away, and asked with a flat voice, "Aloan, want to grab dinner next week?" There was silence. And then, she laughed. Not awkwardly. Not politely. She laughed like she'd been waiting for that question. "Finally," she whispered. My wife's smile didn't just fade. It collapsed. She blinked once, twice, as if trying to undo what just happened with sheer disbelief. She had pulled the pin on the grenade. She just didn't expect it to roll back under her chair. This was only the first 20 seconds. You have no idea what she was hiding behind that smile, and how far I'd go to find out. The thing about public humiliation is, it doesn't end when the party does. After everyone left, after the lights were off and the plastic cups were in the trash, the silence between us felt nuclear. She didn't say anything. Neither did I. We just stood in the kitchen, the room still smelling like burnt marshmallows and spilled rose. Then, finally, she spoke. "You embarrassed me," she said. She said that. I just stared at her. No words. Not because I didn't have any, but because I didn't trust myself to say them without exploding. She crossed her arms like a child who didn't get her way. "You blindsided me." "Oh," I finally said. "I blindsided you." She didn't answer. She didn't need to. In her mind, she had all the moral high ground. She thought I'd just quietly accept it, like I always had. She probably assumed I'd sulk for a few weeks, maybe journal about it, and eventually come around to the idea, like I always did. But something had snapped. I felt it. And she felt it too. That night, I couldn't sleep. She dozed off beside me, as if nothing had changed. As if our marriage hadn't just been dragged into the middle of a social experiment she never asked me to join. But I couldn't stop hearing it. We're in an open relationship now. Over and over. Like a chant in my skull. So I got up, walked into the kitchen. Then, without thinking, I picked up her phone from the counter. I wasn't the type to snoop. Never had been. But something told me. No, something dared me to look. At first, everything was normal. Group chats, art commissions, Pinterest screenshots. Then I saw a name I didn't recognize. Julian, gallery night. And it wasn't just a name. It was a thread. With photos. One of her in a dressing room. Another of her holding 2 wine glasses. And a message from him. I keep replaying that night in my head. "You felt like freedom." I wish I could say I stopped reading. I didn't. She deleted most of her replies, but not all. One said, "You make me feel more alive than I have in years." It was dated 3 weeks ago. That was before our open relationship. Before the party. Before the performance. And just like that, the whole thing made sense. She hadn't made an announcement. She'd made a justification. The open relationship was a cover story. A retroactive permission slip. A sleight of hand. I was the loyal dog in the yard, and she was just leaving the gate open behind her. But I wasn't going to bark. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to walk through that same gate, but not for revenge. No, for something she'd never expect. 2 nights after I found those messages, I told her I was going out. No explanations. No questions. She looked up from her laptop and gave me a flat, "Okay," like she didn't care. Or maybe she was trying to act like she didn't care. I couldn't tell anymore. I couldn't tell what was real with her at all. I didn't go far. Just to the little wine bar near the train tracks. The one where they serve those ridiculous charcuterie boards with 5 olives and a $14 price tag. I wasn't there for the food. I wasn't even there for the wine. I was there because Aloan texted me. Yes, that Aloan. The same friend I invited to dinner in the middle of the party half out of spite, half out of desperation. She'd messaged me the next day, just one line. "Still serious about that dinner?" I didn't reply right away, but when I did, I simply said, "This Friday, 7 p.m., the tracks." And that was it. When she walked in, I swear to God, she was wearing the same exact dress my wife wore to the party. Deep green, low back, slit up the side. I don't know if it was a coincidence. I don't know if it was intentional. I just know my pulse spiked the moment I saw her in it. We sat. We ordered wine. We didn't talk about Callista at first. We talked about books, jobs, how she was done dating guys who still named their fantasy football teams. I laughed. Genuinely. For the first time in weeks, my chest actually moved when I breathed. Then she leaned in and said something I'll never forget. "You know she's been planning that announcement for months, right?" My body stiffened. "What?" Aloan swirled her glass and wouldn't look at me. "She told me back in July she was thinking about easing you into it. That she wanted to make it feel like your idea, eventually. She even asked me if I thought you'd handle it well." July. That was 2 months before the party. 2 months before her so-called evolution. 2 months before I ever saw the name Julian. My stomach turned. It wasn't just betrayal, it was manipulation. Calculated, premeditated, performed. And the worst part? She'd used me as her mirror, letting me reflect her ideal image back to herself while she lived a second life behind the curtain. I paid the bill. Aloan followed me to the car. I didn't kiss her. I didn't even touch her. I just sat in the driver's seat staring at my steering wheel, thinking, how many more people know more about my marriage than I do? When I got home, Callista was already asleep on the couch with some reality show still playing in the background. I stared at her, and for a second, I felt nothing. Not anger, not pain, not love, just curiosity. What else is she hiding? And how far does this performance go? Sunday morning felt like pretending. She made pancakes. I pretended to eat them. She asked how my sleep was. I pretended I'd had any. We sat across from each other like two people playing the roles of husband and wife, but neither of us belonged to the script anymore. She told me she had a gallery meeting that afternoon. I nodded. She was already dressed, too dressed, honestly. Black heels, deep red lipstick, the same oversized blazer she wore on our 3rd anniversary. Strange choice for a meeting, but I didn't ask. I'd stopped asking. After she left, I did something I'd never done in the 10 years we'd known each other. I searched her studio. Not dramatically, not like in the movies. I didn't toss drawers or rip paintings off the walls. I was quiet, precise, surgical. I opened drawers like I was defusing a bomb. I knew I wouldn't find anything obvious. Callista was too careful for that. But I was looking for patterns, oddities, inconsistencies, and sure enough, there they were. Receipts. Duplicates. 3 candles purchased on a day she told me she was at her mother's. A half-burnt matchbook from a downtown hotel I didn't recognize. And then, tucked behind one of her sketchbooks, I found it. A single gold earring. I stared at it for a long time. It wasn't hers. Not her style. Too flashy. Too young. Too new. I wouldn't have thought much of it. Except I'd seen that exact earring once before. 2 weeks earlier, during the party, on a girl I'd never met. A girl who left early. A girl who stood too close to Callista and near the fire pit and whispered something that made them both laugh while I was inside refilling the ice. I turned the earring over in my hand like it might confess to me. It didn't. Instead, it made me realize something much worse. She wasn't just cheating. She was careless. Reckless. She didn't even feel the need to hide it anymore. Which meant, in her mind, she was untouchable. But no one's untouchable. Not when they start slipping. I put the earring back exactly where I found it. Closed the sketchbook. Straightened the drawer. And I waited. That evening, when she got back, she didn't say a word. Just walked past me, humming some off-key tune, poured herself wine, and started texting. Probably Julian. Maybe someone else. At that point, it didn't matter. What mattered was that I had proof. I didn't need to confront her. I needed to plan. Because now, it wasn't just about betrayal. It was about the ending. And I was going to make sure I wrote it, not her. 3 nights later, she made a mistake. It wasn't big. Not dramatic. Just careless. Like everything else lately. That's the thing about liars. They don't break all at once. They leak. And Callista had started leaking badly. She was in the kitchen on the phone. I was in the hallway, out of sight. Not eavesdropping. Not at first. I just walked in from the garage and paused when I heard her voice shift. It went from normal to low and sweet, the way she used to talk to me when we first started dating. I stopped moving. She didn't know I was home yet. I didn't make a sound. "I know," she whispered. "He's been acting strange lately. But it's fine. He won't do anything. He never does." My chest tightened. Who was she talking to? Julian? Someone else? Then she laughed. Not the nervous kind, the smug kind. The kind that makes your skin crawl when it's about you. "He thinks he's in control now," she said. "Let him. It makes things easier." I stood there in that hallway for what felt like forever. I couldn't even feel my hands. It was like watching someone else's life, someone else's humiliation. She thought I was weak, predictable, convenient. And I had been. But not anymore. That night, while she slept, I went back into her studio. I didn't search. I didn't need to. I knew exactly what I was looking for now. Her sketchbook was still there. So was the earring. But I found something else this time, folded inside a manila envelope tucked between two old portfolios. Hotel invoices. 5 different dates. Same place every time. Same name in the guest section, Julian T. No Mr. and Mrs., no ambiguity. Just blatant confirmation, printed in ink. She hadn't even tried to hide them. I scanned every page, memorized the dates, matched them to the lies she'd told me. Girls' night. Client meeting. My mom's having migraines. Every line she fed me, laid bare on corporate letterhead. The anger didn't hit me in a wave, it seeped in. Slow. Cold. Surgical. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just smiled. Because finally, the script had flipped. She'd built her little play, and now I was going to rewrite the final act. Not with shouting. Not with chaos. With silence. With precision. With a single decision she'd never see coming. And the best part? She still thought she was ahead. She had no idea I'd told my sister. It wasn't planned. I didn't sit down and decide to share everything. It just slipped out over coffee one morning when Marla asked me why I looked like I hadn't slept in weeks. I didn't want to tell her. I didn't want to say the words out loud because it would make it too real. But I couldn't stop myself. I didn't tell her the whole thing. Not about Aloan. Not about the earring, or the invoices, or the phone call. Just the basics. That Callista had announced we were open without asking me. That she'd been seeing someone behind my back. That I didn't know what I was supposed to do next. Marla didn't scream. She didn't gasp. She just got very still and said, "Do you want me to come to the dinner next week?" That was the thing about my sister. She didn't ask if I was okay. She already knew I wasn't. She just asked how involved she should be. We were hosting a small dinner for a few of Callista's gallery donors. Another one of her attempts to play the perfect wife in public while detonating everything in private. I had planned to cancel it. But after that conversation, I didn't. I wanted her to feel safe. I wanted her to believe I was still asleep. Still predictable. The night of the dinner, everything looked normal. Callista wore a navy dress I'd always liked. The table was set. The wine was chilling. She moved through the room like a stage actress in her element. Laughing, pouring, brushing shoulders. Then Marla walked in. I hadn't told Callista she was coming. Her smile froze the moment she saw my sister. It wasn't fear exactly. More like calculation. Like she was mentally flipping through flashcards to figure out if she'd ever said something stupid in front of her. Marla hugged her, told her she looked great, then turned to me and said, loud enough for everyone at the table to hear, "So, how's the open marriage working out for both of you?" Callista's eyes darted to me. I smiled and took a sip of wine. For the first time in weeks, she had no script. The room went silent. One of the donors laughed nervously and tried to change the subject, but the damage was already done. Her mask cracked. Not broken, not yet, but enough. Enough for her to know she wasn't untouchable anymore. That night, after the guests left, she cornered me in the kitchen. Why was she here? She demanded. She wanted to see how we were doing. I said deadpan. Isn't that what you've been telling everyone? That we're doing great? Her face twitched. Just for a second. But it was there. She was losing control. And now, for the first time, she knew it. I walked past her without another word. Because silence hurts more when the other person is used to being the one who walks away. It started with small things. She made my coffee the way I like it again. Exactly 3 sugars, a little cinnamon on top. She folded my laundry before I got to it. She sent me a playlist of songs from when we first started dating, calling it Just Thinking of You, Love. It would have worked 6 weeks ago, maybe even 3. But now, it felt like trying to glue a shattered vase back together and pretending it was new. She'd spent months lighting fires behind my back, and suddenly she wanted to hand me a glass of water and pretend we were good again. I didn't respond to the texts. I didn't mention the coffee. I didn't react to the playlist. I just existed, in the same house, the same shared bed, but on a different planet entirely. And that's when she got desperate. One night, I came home late from work. I walked in and heard her crying softly in the dark living room. At first, I thought it was part of the act. But when I looked closer, I realized something had shifted. She wasn't performing this time. She stood up and walked toward me slowly, like someone approaching a wild animal they'd once raised but no longer recognized. "I messed up," she said. I said nothing. "I thought you'd never leave. I thought I could control how far it went." Still, I didn't speak. Then she said it. "I ended things with him." I finally looked at her. "Which one?" That broke her. I could see it, in her shoulders, her mouth, the way her whole body flinched. She hadn't expected that. She thought there was still a version of this where I'd fight for her. That if she cried, I'd hold her. That if she admitted guilt, I'd forget the strategies she used to get here. "I don't want to lose you," she said. "We've built so much. I got carried away, but we can fix this. We can go back." I shook my head. "There is no going back," I told her. "You burned that bridge while I was still standing on it." She stepped closer. "Please." But here's the thing about betrayal. Once you see someone for what they're capable of, you can't unsee it. No matter how many times they apologize. No matter how honest they suddenly pretend to be. I went upstairs, closed the door, locked it. She slept on the couch that night, and the next night, and the one after that. She kept trying to rewind the tape. But I'd already started filming something else entirely. Because forgiveness is hard. But indifference? Indifference is lethal. The morning I left was quiet. No yelling. No slammed doors. Just sunlight through the kitchen window and the hum of the fridge. She was still asleep on the couch, curled up like a stranger who didn't know how to live in her own home anymore. I left the keys on the counter. One last cup of coffee in the sink. And a note. Not dramatic, just honest. "You chose freedom. So did I. Only difference is, I didn't need to lie to get it. I didn't take much with me. A suitcase. A box of books. My passport. I didn't even take the dog. He always liked her more anyway. But for the first time in months, maybe years, I walked out the front door without feeling like I was leaving a piece of myself behind. It's strange how healing feels nothing like justice and everything like peace. I got a tiny apartment downtown. Started running again. Reconnected with people I'd ghosted during the worst of it. Even reached out to Aloan. Not for anything romantic. Just to say thanks for telling the truth when no one else would. Callista never asked for me back after that. Maybe she knew it was over. Maybe she realized that when you gamble with someone's loyalty, the house doesn't always win. We finalized the divorce in April. She kept the house, her studio, the furniture. I kept the silence. But I also kept something more important. My dignity. My voice. And the version of me she never thought would stand up and walk away. Have you ever witnessed a moment at a party, a dinner, or even in a relationship, where someone revealed way more than they meant to? Something small that changed everything? Tell us in the comments. We want to hear your story. This has been Reddit Confessions.